Wow. Well, I appreciate the interest level. I did this speech, I don't know, 6 times in 2 weeks a couple of months ago. We didn't have this level of turnout, so I guess interest has increased. So I'm Tom Anderson. I've probably met a very small percentage of you, but it's nice to see you all, and I appreciate your interest level in the community. I'm the declarant at Fairfield Glade, and we have, working with the board, we have come up with an idea that we think has very good long-term legs for the community to try and open up the land south of Peavine Road that has really never been, well, it's never been developed. So we came up with a construct to do it, and we have an amendment in front of everybody, and I'll be happy to talk about the fact that if you're an existing homeowner, there's no cost, and if you're a C-lot owner, we're going to add value to your life, and if you're trying to keep your dues down, certainly this is a great strategy because it will definitely increase the number of lots that pay at a higher rate. But we can get into all of that, and I know there's a lot of questions, so I'm happy to answer questions. Some of the times when I did this speech a couple of months ago, you know, I did kind of a wind-up about what's a declarant, because a lot of people had confusion about it. Would you like me to spend a couple of minutes? Would that be helpful, just to kind of level? All right, because my favorite way to have a meeting, and especially a meeting this big, is to try and get everybody on the same page, you know, to start with. And then if I can, even on a very high level, and then if I can get everybody on the same page, when we start asking questions, maybe I'll have answered a couple of them, you know, or at least we can all revisit what I hope I'm about to say. So, all right, so you ready? Am I blocking this map from a lot of you, or is it? Okay, this is I know you can't really see it. This is a really hard map to reproduce. But in the beginning, right, in 1970, there's this guy named Randy, and he has this big idea that he's going to create something called Fairfield Glade. And he goes out and he buys this entire parcel of land, 8,000 acres, 25,000 acres, 12,000 acres, something like, okay, 12,000 acres. He buys it, and he has this vision that he's going to create this amenity-rich community. So he starts planning golf courses, planning to build man-made lakes, you know, planning there was a hotel that's not here anymore, the mall, the churches, the tennis courts, the swimming pools, the stables, you know, everything, the marinas, everything that makes this community attractive to so many people, Randy's idea, right? So Randy submits the plan to Cumberland County and the state and gets financing from the banks, goes through the whole thing. And off he goes. So at this point, it's Randy against, you know, nature. There's nothing here. And Randy quickly realizes in his model that what he'd like to do is start selling homes, building golf courses, building lakes, probably right in here to start with, Druid Hills, St. George, this area. And he wants to create a club where the homeowners pay into this club on a monthly basis so that there's money to maintain the golf courses, the lakes, and the marinas. All right, everybody good? So Randy creates a document, right? And it still exists. It looks like this. This is a CNRs, the Covenants and Restrictions of Fairfield Glade. So Randy creates the club. Randy's the declarant. Randy's in charge of building everything, and the club is in charge of operating everything. And that is the model. So we can fast forward and stop along the way. we can talk about the history of our community. This has been this is like a marriage. Like I'm holding like the marriage certificate, right? So, I'm married to the board, and they're married to me. I think I'm the fourth declarant that has bought the declarant rights, that owns the declarant rights, and I'll tell you what I own. And I think that Greg might be the 20th board president. I don't know. That maybe there's been more board presidents than 20. I don't know. But this document is still the same document. It's been amended a couple of times, but it's the same document that was conceived when the neighborhood was first conceived, and we're all still bound by it. So I can reference this for you. So skipping through, the club being near bankrupt and the developer being bankrupt and all the stuff that's gone on over time. In 2017, I bought the declarant rights from a company at the time called Wyndham, I guess. And they sold me this document, right? So I paid for this. I paid to be this guy. And what I paid for was the right to be the three things. Okay, this is important. I think if you can understand this, I think we're really going to be in good shape, because I know this is complicated and it's a lot. All right. So in this document, right here, the document refers to Exhibit A, right? Exhibit A. Exhibit A is this hard black line, right, that goes all the way around. All right, Exhibit A is that, okay? Inside Exhibit A, the declarant has certain rights. I have the right to develop the roads and put in the water anywhere inside Exhibit A that the community and I and the club decide the timing is right to put it in, okay? Every road that's here, every road you drove on to get here, all of that stuff was built by the declarant. And this declarant right to put in roads and to put in the water is as old as the first day of our community. There's no news here. This is just what the declarant at Fairfield Glade does, okay? So inside Exhibit A, which is really this colored part, I build the roads, put in the water, I sit on the board, or I appoint someone to sit on the board. I have some marketing rights for things. But primarily, that's what my role is. I also bought from the declarant something that the CNR refers to, which is called additional land, all right? So there's the second piece of real estate here is called additional land. This is the additional land here, and the additional land is all around Mirror Lake, and all this area here. Where's Mirror Lake? Why can't I find it? Anyway, you all know where Mirror Lake is, right? So it's all the land around Mirror Lake that's undeveloped, and it's the land across the street. That's the old softball field. All of that land I bought from the declarant. So these two parcels of land are pre-approved in this document to be made part of Exhibit A, the big plan, as long as I develop them in accordance with the way that the document and the land use plan that we live by, as long as I develop them in the way we want to see them developed, which up here is single-family homes. They have to be a certain size. They have to have curb and gutter and underground utilities and this is an expensive infrastructure piece. Down here, all of this down here, the restrictions are less. We can do chip and seal roads. We don't have to have buried utilities. Here, the lots are probably smaller. Here, they're a little bigger. But this is the second piece of real estate that the declarant says grace over. The declarant owns the land. He's the only one that can put in the roads. He's the only one that can put in the water. And the club also has the right in the additional land to put the sewer in. All right? So just like down here, where I move with the club to put in the roads and the water, and they put sewer in, up here, when I put in a road and extend the water, the club comes in and puts the sewer, right? Then there's a third piece of real estate, and this is, hopefully this might take away 20 questions if I can explain it properly, okay? Randy, the original declarant, was a big thinker. There's no question about it, right? I mean, this is a huge project, and we've been at it 50 years, and it's still not done, okay? So Randy contemplated that one day, maybe, it could be even bigger than this. And that maybe along the way, there might be a piece of real estate over here, or a piece of real estate over here, or a piece of real estate over here. And there might be another developer who might come to us and say, we really want to be part of Fairfield Glade. I want to sell houses over here, and I want my homeowners to pay you dues, and I want them to have access to your golf courses and all your amenities. All right? All right? That's what that additional development declarant wording is. And is that exactly what it's called? Non-declarant developer. Okay. So there's phraseology in here that talks about a non-declarant developer. That's the guy who's not inside Exhibit A. I'm the declarant in Exhibit A. The non-declarant developer would be a guy with a parcel over here, and the club and I would have to work together to approve having another project brought in, all right? It's never happened. There's not one on the horizon, and I think with all that we have to say grace over that's left here, I think we got plenty to do without worrying about a non-declarant developer. But just don't be confused in the document that anybody can be a declarant. That's really, really misleading you, all right? So a non-declarant developer is somebody that is outside Exhibit A, not part of the additional land, and sits over here and needs my approval and needs the board's approval to be let into the community. All right, so that's what I bought. I also bought their sales and marketing company and their home building business. Now, that's not declarant stuff. The declarant is the developer of the infrastructure. That's what it is. So we can't be mixing up the declarant with home building either. That's just not fair. It's not fair to me. We're not asking you to approve anything to do with my home building business. We're just trying to unlock value here for these C lot owners that have never realized any value in their homes. And we're trying to do it in a way that the A lot owners don't have to pay any money for it. And we're trying to do it in a way that the club will be the beneficiary down the road because we'll have more A lots here that can pay more dues. And we're trying to make sure that our builder community and everybody that makes a living here in construction, this will open up, hundreds is really too low a number. Over time, it's thousands of lots. So that's the amendment that we're asking for. We're asking you to understand that in Exhibit A, right, I have the rights to build the roads and put in the water. Up here, I have the same rights. Up here, when I do it, there's no outside lot owners, right? So when I go in up here in Fairfield North and I put a road in, I own both sides of the road, right? So I'm putting all my money in to build the road, and I'm at risk for 100% of the money to try and get it back over time by selling the lots. That's what I do. This is different, all right? So this is a strategy, Randy, back to Randy, and maybe the next guy. They laid down and platted this area before they were ready to put the roads in. Really put the roads in, really put the water in, really put the sewer in. And based on what I can tell in the history book, they did it so they could create like C-level dues, and they could sell the lots at a discount and start generating more revenue from these C lot owners, because the club needed more money to maintain the golf courses, the lakes, the marinas, the tennis courts, and all of that. That's as close as I can figure about what happened. But it was done in a way where the declarant has clearly, I call it more of an obligation, but the declarant is clearly obligated to put the roads and the water in here. When the declarant feels like the time is right, the club puts the sewer in. And there's been questions like, well, are we finally at that point where we need to do it? Okay? Are you with me still? Is this all right? Is this helpful? Okay. So are we at the point where we need to do it? I don't know. Let me tell you. When I got here in 2017, and I looked at the map, there were. Does everybody know the difference between an A lot and a C lot? So an A lot can be sold to a homeowner, a builder, anybody. And if you want to put a house on an A lot, you can go see the ACC here, and they'll approve your plan. As long as you do what they say, they're going to let you build a house. A C lot has no water, road, or sewer on it. So it's really just, I'm calling them grassy knolls. I don't know if that's a fair, that's kind of a JFK thing. I don't know if that's a fair way to do it or not. But so, forgot where I was. C lots. Okay, so back. So when I got here, in this area here, there were 800 A lots. Okay, so, and the builders maybe sell 80, 100 a year. All right, so if you do the math, there's more lots available to the builders than the builders need. So there's no reason for me, because I have to spend all the money, there's no reason for me to be putting in more roads when we already have more inventory than we need. So 2017 goes by, 2018 rolls along. 2018, we have fewer lots, we have a very good sales year, so maybe maybe we're down to 500 A lots, and we still absorb another 100. So 2021 comes along, we got 400 lots. And it's starting to dwindle, okay? It's starting to get to the point where, as a community, if we want to keep growing, we need to be thinking about opening up more areas over time so that we can keep the growth in the community happening. So, do we have enough A lots this year? We do. And if you don't know, this is the slowest first 6 months since 2012 in sales. So I went to the board. We had talked about this. I think Greg might be the third board president I've had this conversation with. And I said, there's going to come a time when we're going to want to tackle this problem, right? So for me, this is sort of the elegant solution to it, which is there's already a concept in the CNRs that allows the sewer, when it's extended, it gives the club the right to get their money back. Okay, so if the club extends the sewer and it runs by somebody's house, they charge each homeowner their pro rata piece of it, and if those homeowners pay them, then that's great, and if they don't pay them, after a couple of years, I think, they foreclose on the lot, and it's probably because the homeowner doesn't want anything to do with the lot and doesn't pay their dues, and doesn't pay their taxes, all the problems that amount to having all these lots for sale. All right, so the concept is, well, if we need to extend roads and water and sewer, why don't we just use the same simple process where we'll go in, we'll put in the road and the water and the sewer, and we'll let all the lot owners that are impacted know that it's coming, and they'll have an opportunity at that time to sell their lot or keep their lot and pay a pro rata share of what it costs for a road to be pulled in front of their lot. They can sell to anybody they want. They can leave town. A lot of them we can't find anyway. So, we don't know where they are, and we write letters and nobody responds and they don't vote. And, it's a bit of never, never land. There's a lot of constituents. But what happened, you got 2 more minutes for me before I wrap? Okay, I'll try and get out of this. So my daughter told me not to do this, but what happened to me was, in talking about how to do it, 3 groups came to me and said, hey, I can tell you one thing. We own a bunch of C lots. We don't have any interest in owning them. We're not going to pay you back on infrastructure costs because we don't want to own the lots. So what if you decide to put a road in, we'll sell you our lots and, we're gone. And, those groups are Wyndham because, they own, 1,000 lots down there, and all they do is pay dues, and they have no interest in, building. They don't want, it's not their business. The club has tons of lots. The club obviously has no interest in building homes, and it's not their business. And the county, they have no interest in it. They don't pay dues, they don't pay anything. So when you put those 3 groups together of people that we know aren't going to pay me back, right? They would represent like the green, the yellow, and the blue. So this is just like a pass at a typical road. The club is the yellow, the county's the green, Wyndham's the blue. So we just made this up. It's just very arbitrary. But this could be a road that we decide, let's put it in, all right? Most of the color that you see is the red, right? So the red are individual lot owners that we don't know if we can get a hold of. We don't know. I don't know if they're going to pay me back. I don't know if they're going to sell their lot. I don't know if they're not going to communicate with us, not pay me back, and we're going to have to go through the foreclosure process. I don't have any idea, how it's all going to play out. So I got to put this whole road in, right? Up front, one time, money out. I got to put in the water. I'll put the power in. We'll put the internet in. Club will run the sewer, right? So we're out, I don't know, it's probably not $1 million, but it's probably not far from it. And I got to figure out, how to get paid back, right? Because, it's real money, right? So I've got this great opportunity because I know these colored guys, they don't want anything. I know they're not paying me back. I know that up front. So that gives me like some sort of semblance to say, okay, so these lots I can sell to other builders, I can build in my home building company, I can do something with, but I know this is risk I'm definitely taking on, these non-red. The red lots, I got to start a collection business, and I got to hope that I'm going to be able to, get paid back, and if not, I'm going to have to foreclose. These red lots, all these red lots, I know for a fact the builder groups will start writing them letters, the realtors will write them letters, they'll get all these letters from these groups of people that own lots here to sell the lot for $1 or sell it for whatever. And they'll have an opportunity to do whatever they want. If the way that I'm going to run the process, though, this was some of the things that got said about me that really irked me. I'm not going to, let me see how I want to say this. The first people in my book, to be fair, the first people that will find out that their lot is going to be improved are going to be the people that own the lots, okay? I'm not going to tell the realtors, the builders, the people who try and buy something for $1 and sell it for $25,000 from people and give them some big heads up that this is happening. I just feel like these lot owners have been waiting some of them have been waiting 3 or 4 decades, to get some value out of their property. And I'm gonna be the one to tell them that it's about to happen. And I've worked with our realty group on a series of letters that we're going to put out so that if they want to transact with me or they want to transact with anybody or they don't want to transact at all, at least they're going to be the first people to know that A, they're going to have to pay some money to get the roads coming, and B, once we're done with it, in our opinion, their land is going to be worth well more than the road costs. And C, they can make their own decision from there because it's their lot. So they can get out now, they can get out later. Okay? All right. That might be my speech. It was longer than I wanted. Yes.
There's one more piece of history that exists. Randy was both the community club and the Declarant for the first 20-some years.
Yeah.
And the community club, as it exists, by a CMR change, was created in 1996. So
Yeah.
prior to 96, Randy was
Well, okay, I didn't want to go into all that, but you're right. Let me just tell you. Okay, if you're Randy, we're back to Randy, right? So when Randy created the club, everybody on the board worked for Randy. Okay, so, because that was all the people that were here, really. So it was like Randy and his guys. So, any decisions that were made for the club were basically made by the Declarant. And they got into a big fight because, Randy, eventually the club got some backbone and said, hey, look, we need you to pay something on these unsold lots, and Randy didn't want to, and then Randy started giving them the lakes and the golf courses instead of paying them dues and all this stuff. There's a big, long pile of crap that went on between Randy and the club, but eventually how it settled out, and this is the document that I live by, how all that got settled and it was litigated. I have one board seat, right? So I used to have them all, I got one, and the club got the sewer, which the club didn't have any of the amenities prior to that settlement. So the club got the sewer, so they have involvement in development. And the Declarant kept the road and the water, so it has some control over the pace of growth in the community. But you're absolutely right. Hopefully that answered your question. I've been asked to say, don't give a speech, just ask a question by someone. So it's not my thought, but I'm just saying that. Yes, sir. Okay.
I worked in construction and in engineering for 37 years.
Good.
I know that when you build, you only build for what you need at that point in time. And then you come along later and you say, oh gosh, we got to add to this. So when you first started, Fairfield, it was all started over here on this side over here. All right? And you put in water lines, and let's just make up a number, a 6-inch water line, a 4-inch sewer line, and you put in a 3-inch gas line, and that really took care of people for a very, very long time. Now you come along and you've added over the years and years and years. I don't know how many of you have problems with your water, but we do, and I called the water company, and they came out, and they said, well, you have 30 pounds, that's good enough, that's the only thing you need. Well, that's fine. That was 5 years ago. Now you're gonna add all these other homes over here. Now you're gonna charge them when you put in the water and sewer and everything else. My question is, for those of us who live over here, who are off the existing lines, and you're saying there's no cost to us, what happens when someone comes along and says, aha, we don't have enough capacity in this area over here. So now we're going to have to put in bigger water lines, sewer lines, whatever lines that have to go through there. Now, what are you going to say to all those people who live along these main branches that feed all this? Are you going to come back to them and say, hey, we had to change that size of that water line in front of your house for these other folks, so now you're going to have to pay an assessment for that?
I'm happy to tell you the answer you don't want to hear, which is that's the county, water department's issue. Greg and I met with the water department, and listen, I'll give you another one, just to pile on with you. Like people say that, I guess people realize, but part of your taxes every year go for road maintenance, right? The county maintains the roads. Right? So I don't maintain the roads. The club doesn't. I build the road to the county spec. I have to do everything they tell me. I have to bond it off so they know it's going to get done. There's no risk to them. When I'm done, they inspect it, they take it, and then, you know, my obligation is over. We met with this guy named Everett, who's the head of the water department, and I can't speak for him, so you cannot, this is not the truth. I think he's aware of your concern, and I think he's thinking about a way to fix it, and I didn't get that he was his way of fixing it is to somehow tax you about it. But that's all I can tell you. I mean, I think that I can't. I don't know. Is any of you guys have? I am being. Listen. I'm upfront. Okay. I'm being upfront with you. I have no knowledge that you're going to get that there's a big sewer and water fee coming to you. I have a clean brain about that. I have no knowledge of it. No knowledge of it. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Look, all right. I will be happy to reach out to Everett and ask him the question. Okay, and we'll get you an answer. And sewer too. Well, the sewer department's aware of their expansion, and they have a sinking fund, I think, in place with their dues that's going to expand it at some point.
I'm gonna just real quick, a housekeeping issue. If you would use the microphones, we have them in the back, but I'll give this one up front. It's in fairness to the people that we're live streaming and recording this for the archives, so they cannot hear you and what questions you're asking.
Just a comment, and maybe Bill or Greg can comment, but I believe that the current CNR change would not allow an existing A-lot owner, if they did water improvement, they're not allowed to be charged for it anyway. You're only addressing C-lots that are not existing water system.
Yeah, I don't see a scenario where A-lot owners are paying any money on this amendment, so I don't know of an amendment. I don't know who's first. I'm going to go with the lady, all right? So I promise you next. Okay.
No. Go ahead, sir.
I guess we've been here for quite a few years, and I guess I have a concern of if we add the houses that are indicated, 50 to 100 a year or thereabouts. Now, I don't know how many of you have a calculator, but if you start adding all this up, not only does it put a strain on our utilities and our amenities, but look what it's going to do to the roads. I know several roads now, I've sat in lines to try and get out of the stop sign and stuff because there is a lot of people, a lot more people than used to be. So if we start adding more and more people, I'm thinking it's good to grow, but is this going to hurt the face of Fairfield? Because a lot of people came here because they like the serenity, they like the amenities, they like nature, they like the wildlife. And slowly but surely, that's going to be taken away. Look at Westchester, how many houses they've added this year. So I think the big concern is, do we want to be in an area that we love, or is it going to start to be a city? We can go back to Chicago or LA, because sooner or later, we're going to have as many houses as these places that we left. So that's my concern. The more houses we put quickly, the more we're going to have.
And there's only one food city.
That's right. Thank you. I don't think there was a question in there, so I'll move on.
Mayor Canby, I've been around the community.
And we're not looking for big speeches. I was asked that. Okay.
I understand that.
All right.
For my whole life, but these.
Oh, they'll get to me. I just may have to hold on to my friend Terry. You don't need it, but get it pretty close.
It's on. Should be.
Thanks, sir.
Sure.
So, you know, the people. Okay, the people in this area here, in this whole area, were made a promise when they bought these lots. You know, some of them 50 years ago, that they were going to have a road to them. And so the things we're talking about here, this whole community was designed for 18,000 lots. And so that's what this is. It hasn't changed. It's what it's always been. besides the ones that are being added in the north. So this community was always designed to be this way, and we've sat here for the last 30, 40 years and nothing has happened. And this is the only way that it can happen. And so I just can't see that it's good for anybody that there's lots selling for $100 down here on the south side. I don't see how that's good for anybody. I think the more houses in here, the more development in here, the more chance you have for dues coming in. It's just better for everybody. And I can't see this not being that way. The people that just got here 10 years ago that roll in here and say, hey, I got here and now nobody else comes, I don't understand that concept. And I really think this is the way that it needs to go. It needs to develop the way it was always intended to be.
Oh, thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
and the only, the thing is if we knew exactly how much it's going to cost per foot or per lot and things like that, that might be a better feeling. I don't know if we can find that out or not. But as long as they're building the roads for what cost is, as long as they build the roads for what the cost is and it's not some kind of markup or whatever, I think it should be that way. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I feel like it's a great thing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll get to it. I just want you to know two things. One, when I got here in 2017, I bought the declarant's role in the businesses, and I didn't change any. I haven't changed much of anything, but I did ask, because we do more tours of more people that come to this community that are interested in living here. We do more than anybody else, any other office, real estate, whatever in the community. And I asked my guys, what's the number one reason people don't move here? Because we get a lot of people that come through and say, oh, this is nice, but it's not for me. And the number one reason was that there's not enough to do at night. They don't see outlets other than golf on things to do. So I took that to heart, and I built the amphitheater at the Grove, right? And to try and generate some sort of after hours activity for people to have something to do. And I don't get credit for it really. Anybody who's in the real estate market here is selling that amphitheater as a benefit to the community. So I also think, in addition to wanting to be a growing community, I think at some point we need to really try and build our core up a little bit and have a little more to do. So that's just my view. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Over here.
Who's next? I'm sorry. Who's next? Ken is next. Ken is next.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to start by thanking you for what you've done for the community and all your work in developing. I'll crouch down a little bit. Is that better? Right on top. I got to be right on top of the mic. Okay, I just wanted to thank you for all the work you've done here to develop Fairfield Glade. It's greatly appreciated. And your presentation gave me a little more information. I learned something from that, so thank you. I have some questions. I'll just ask the questions. I touched base with you before this, and you said you did get a chance to look them over. So real quick, if we just go back and forth some yes/no questions, and maybe it's a little bit of a conversation. I mean, you were familiar with the covenants and restrictions before purchasing Fairfield Glade homes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you had formulated a formal business plan upon which your purchase was based, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something you'd be willing to share with people?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Just to let you know, because
no.
Okay. That's an answer.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So when, under what circumstances did it first occur to you that changing the CNRs was the best or only strategy for financing the development of certain subdivisions? When did this idea occur to you? Like, did you make the purchase based on your business? Let me just finish the question.
5 years ago, maybe.
5 years ago. So basically, when you, based
Yeah,
on
a
your
little bit
business
after.
plan.
Well, look, I'm trying to get the point across that I'm trying to be somewhat consistent with this document, right? So this document, the reason that we're even having this discussion, probably, and I think is entirely true, is that when the last time there was an amendment here, the club took the sewer, or the declarant gave the club the sewer. It depends on which lawyer you talk to that put it together. I don't think either of them really wanted the sewer, but the club wound up running the sewer department, and the club got nervous about having to put money out and not having a way to get paid back, right? So they didn't want to be taking your money, putting it in the sewer, and then have nobody pay them back. So they got a mechanism in place to say if it runs by your lot, whatever the pro rata fair share piece is of it, they have an ability to get that money, and no more, but that money from you. And if you don't pay them over time, they've got an ability to get the lot back, and then the club sells the lots. I think the reason that the declarant doesn't have the exact same language is because at the time the document was put together, I think the declarant controlled a tremendous amount of the lots. And over the last 97, 07, so almost 30 years, there's been so many defaults. There's been so many people who have tucked tail and not paid the county taxes, not paid this tax, not paid that taxes, that now there's a lot of different groups that own a lot of real estate. And that wasn't, when Randy started, Randy owned everything, right? So he didn't really have to worry about this concept. But now this concept has kind of come home to roost down here with all the people that have defaulted over time on their lots. So what I'm trying to do is just make it simple and understandable, which is to say, let's just do the same model the club does, and we'll go together arm in arm, and if we decide to put a road in and open up an area, we'll treat everybody the same. They'll get the same letters, it'll be the same concepts, and it'll be the same business model. So that's why I did it that way. I can't think of another way to do it, to be honest.
Okay, so in answer to my question, you said about 5 years ago is when this first occurred to you, which is...
I brought this up to a board president to try and get them thinking about when the right time to do this was, at least 5 years ago.
5 years ago, about 2020. You purchased in 2017. So in your business plan, you didn't anticipate this need. Is that correct?
Okay. When I started talking earlier, what I said was we didn't have the need because we had so many A lots.
Well, that would be part of the business plan.
There's no reason to go and amend the CNRs at that point because we don't need to build this infrastructure.
Right, so that would be part of the business plan. You knew how many lots were available to be developed. You do a 5, 10, 20-year plan.
So
you know what you're developing at what rate, right?
So we're getting to the point, like I'm trying to say, I guess I'll start saying the same things again. Development is a supply and demand business, right? So if you're really good at it, and you have to be really lucky at it, you have enough supply to meet your demand, okay? Last thing you want is to have way more supply than demand. And the last thing you want is to have a bunch of your money tied up in a lot of supply and have nobody want it. So as long as there's A lots up here and the building community has plenty to do, there's no reason for me to be risking my cash down here, okay? Yeah, so I probably had this idea before I bought the company and read the document. But it's not like you need to act on an idea whose time hasn't come.
Okay, so there's plenty to do and there's no reason to develop that at this present time, is that what you're saying?
I'm trying.
Is that enough? Okay, that's fine.
Do you have another question? Okay, thank you. All right.
Yeah, I have a question. If I was offered the same deal as a developer that I've been...
We go right here.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go... I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go bang, 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 and then back, okay? Because just to try, because I can't see who's got their hand up. So I'm going to let you go, because I know you've been waiting a really long time.
Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, I got a couple of statements and questions. There are people that want lots here, and they just want the greenery. And it's been very difficult for them in the last, I'm going to say 3 to 6 months, to get a lot, where prior to that it wasn't. And that's because, in my opinion, that Wyndham and the club, as well as the county, have all, I don't want to use the word colluded together, but save these lots for you, Tom. And I'm not sure I think that's really fair to residents, right? The second comment is, why are you the one that is going to go through and improve? In my neighborhood, and we've been here 19 and a half years, there are builders that are aggressively building, and again, they're taking the responsibility for the infrastructure. And make no mistake,
Not to my knowledge.
I'm sorry?
Not to my
Well,
knowledge.
we'll
they're
talk
not.
later, and I'll give you,
Okay.
I'll give you addresses. In fact,
that's things that people say that I don't think are true.
sir, I'll give you the address on a grassy road where a home is going up, all right? So, so my concern is, again, with you going in, and let's just say you do go forward with this.
Okay.
And I know this is a lot of discussion, but I'd like to eventually see it in a document, in a policy, in a contract, is how do these homeowners, do they know or have a feel for what they're going to be charged? You're a businessman, you're going to make money on that. Would there be some agreement that it would be cost plus so they have an idea? Or are you free to basically just go in there, put the road in, and frankly charge them anything you'd like?
Okay, so that gets to my integrity.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely, sir.
All right, so now we're at the integrity point of the meeting. All right. So I have been giving that a lot of thought. I know that that's a question, and I know people are looking for like some exact number on things that is hard for me to get to. Okay. All right. So we have. Anyway, let me give this a little bit of a rundown. Okay, so and I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but I do want to say something in response to what you said, which is it is true to say that the county and Wyndham and the club want to see the neighborhood move forward and be developed. It's just true. I can't help that. They don't, they don't live here and they don't want to, pastoral. They're paying dues, they're paying taxes, they're paying money, and they think they should get the same benefit that everybody else has gotten by having roads extended to their property so that they can sell their position or sell it to me or sell it to somebody else. So. I'm positive that's not collusion, but they're definitely all like-minded in the fact that they're very pro trying to work their way out of the hundreds and hundreds of lots that they own. The other thing to say is it is my money, and so we're going to do this at the pace at which it works. So I think people have some impression that we're going to like blink our eyes and wake up and have like 10,000 new houses or something. Like that's absolutely not possible. Like if we get to 50 a year, I think that would be a lot. I think, to be honest, 100 would be a whole new realm of development here, and I can't say that it won't happen, but it's never happened at that pace. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that there was another question that I didn't. Oh, about the cost. So I was talking with the gentleman. Told me he was going to ask me the same question. He was giving me. There he is. He gave me a heads up. I said, well, what would you charge? And he said, well, I run a business, and we make 50% profit. And I said, shit, I hadn't thought of that. I think that we will be able to. I'm more interested in just trying to let people understand. We think that on the very low end of the range, if we are able to find good streets that don't have rock, that don't have a lot of ancillary cost to them, we think we'll be able to deliver all this for around $10,000. If we wind up with areas that have a lot more involvement, which is basically rock on this mountain, then we're going to have to be making decisions. Well, is it 12 or is it 13 to blast all this rock? If it's 17, are we going to walk away from the street and not develop it? Do we need to try and get a quorum of all the people on the street together and say, this is what it's going to cost. Do you guys want to go forward or not go forward? One of the things that I think you have to you have to understand this is different though, because the fact right now that you can buy a lot from the club for an A lot for $5,000, okay? So you can buy an A lot for $5,000, all right? The whole lot, it's an A lot, you got your road, water, sewer, you got everything. It's a great deal. It's a really good deal, and there's a lot of builders here that are grabbing that deal. What I know for a fact is that what a lot of the building community would like to get to is they would like to cluster some new homes together and build maybe like price point, like model. And we know for a fact that when there's growth in the community and people are moving here, they kind of like moving on a street where everyone's moving in so they can make friends and you know, and then for the builders, it's more efficient if they've got 3 or 4 houses going on a street and another builder does, and the trades can move from house to house, and it's easier for them to manage the whole process. So in a scenario like that, builders will pay more for lots because they know they're not like trying to stick a house in between 2 houses that were built 30 years ago and have to build at today's costs and try and sell the house for, you know, 1.5 times what the house next door would cost. So there is an economy here that I think will take hold over time when we cluster these new lots together, like on that map, where we can build the smallest houses that we think people want to buy up to some of the larger houses that people want to buy and try and group them in a way that they can get grouped together. So that's why the $10,000-ish on a good deal on the low side, I don't think is going to scare builders away. And I think if you're a lot owner, you know, in a road like this, I think builders would pay you more than that for your lot if it had consistency, meaning that if they could see a path where the whole street was going to get developed in a certain way and it was going to be new, they would be willing to pay more. Right now, $5,000 is a great deal. What's happening is, you know, there's some areas here where there were a cluster of lots that the club had. They're running out of them quickly. There's no more roads, there's no more sewer, there's no more water there, and they're going to run up against it. And then they're all going to be feeding back into the other, you know, several hundred lots that are there, but it's just not as convenient for them to build. Okay, so okay. So
Mr. Anderson, can I ask you how long you've lived in Fairfield? Mr. Anderson, how long have you lived in Fairfield?
I was waiting for her.
You lived in Fairfield.
I spend about 1 week a month here.
All right. So you don't live in Fairfield. I'm a developer builder of 40 years.
Okay.
This would be the perfect thing to take me out of retirement if the board offered me this. I've spoken to other builders in the area, and they resent the fact that they haven't been allowed to bid on this. Because this is a golden opportunity. Lennar Homes, if they were offered 500 lots, they probably couldn't get up here fast enough. Have you tried to market this and sell this as an accountant? No. Then I would ask you this question. As a fair-minded man, would you agree to the 2 following? The board offer this same deal to other builders and present to Fairfield Glade what each builder would donate if they were given the declarant as you're asking for, number 1. Number 2, once the bid is awarded and they are declared that the owner of this company, in your case, must retain controlling interest 51%, or the legal agreement for the declarant is immediately rescinded by the board and re-offered to the other builders. Would you agree to those 2 situations?
Would you?
Yes.
You would not.
See? You're gonna pump it and dump it. That's perfect builder strategy.
I don't know you, and I don't know how you ran your company, but I think that's just a lot of, for me, that's a lot of crap. So you have no reason to say that to me. Absolutely none.
Over here.
Who's next?
Are you coming back this way?
Sure. I don't know. Who's
over here now. You're
okay.
going to come back this way. So the only question left that I have, and you've kind of answered some of it, but what do you think is the max amount of homes that would be built that are left for space in our community? Because what are we at now, about 14, 15, 16,000 people?
No, we're under 10, I think.
Under 10?
Yeah.
So do you feel that the max that this will ever grow is maybe 24,000 people?
When I do the math on this, I feel like it could go for 60 years.
So I don't need to worry. I'll
I
be
know.
long gone.
There's a lot of people worrying that aren't.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Because that's my biggest concern is that most of us moved here
Yeah.
and we're all part of the growth
Yeah,
to get out of the suburbs and live in the country.
yeah.
And so all the sidewalks and streetlights, I'm worried that this will be the next villages. And you've reassured me that it won't,
Yeah,
and that's
no.
I'm happy about that.
No, I will say that there's a couple of things that should give you some reassurance about the pace of growth. One is that we are constrained by our labor pool. So there are very good tradesmen here, but we're not in Atlanta or something, you know, where you can make a phone call and have 10 framers at your job site. So we build our home building company probably builds more homes year in and year out than anybody, and you know we're hard pressed to get to 30, okay, with our subs. And in terms of, if you just look at the history, the Fairfield Glade, like any real estate economy, it goes up and down. And when it's up, like it was maybe 2 years ago, it was tipping about 125 new houses. Okay, so that means that maybe 25 of them were in Fairfield North off of Catoosa, and then maybe another 20 of them were around the lakes, that were just lots that people were filling in, or maybe 10 of them were golf course lots that had never been built on. And then 70 or so were in the south that in the area that we're talking about. So if you say, I don't know, I've heard Greg say 8,000 lots, but you have to be honest, there's probably a third of them that aren't buildable, they're sloped, there's water running through them. So let's just say there's 4,000 lots and we need 70 a year, right? So that's 50, is that 60, 70, that's 70 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well-
this isn't a Lennar, call Lennar, and see, how, what would we want it to be?
Yeah,
right?
I just want to.
I wouldn't do that to the community, so.
I just want to say one thing though. This guy's gambling his money doing this. And you really are gambling that this is going to work for you.
Well, if I had put that road in last year and it was this year, I would have 0 sales. I'll tell you that right now. None.
So
There's not a house selling,
I think a lot of people had the fear that I had, that this is going to grow so fast and so big
Yeah.
that we're going to want to move because it's gotten too big or something,
We're trying to communicate it. I must not be doing a great job of communicating that, but I tell you what, I got a slide. No, I got a slide. This might be interesting to you. I got a slide.
I understand that your answer to the previous business question was that's a lot of crap.
That he's challenging my integrity?
He was asking about business.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Do we have I have this thing. I was going to show you what a typical year looks like at my office so that you can just get some sort of an idea. Let's see. What is? Oh, they're on the sides right now? Oh, okay. All right. So this is for those of you who have real growth concerns. Can you guys see this pie chart? Can you see it or not really? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, you can see the three colors, right? Can you see the three colors? Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. So this is how it works at my company. All three of them. The Declarant, I've got a lot slide I can show you, but the home building business and the sales and marketing company. So we give tours to people who come to Fairfield. Maybe some of you have been toured by our office. So we have a sign that says, want a tour, stop in. We staff agents at our office full-time. We have all the realtors that work for us are full-time agents. You know, it's a company store. It's been that way since the 70s. And we offer benefits and 401k plans and all this kind of stuff that goes on. But that's an aside. We tour about 500 people a year. So 500 people a year drive to Fairfield Glade, park in our lot, get out of their car, walk in the door, and ask for a tour, all right? And we try and get every single one of them to buy just Fairfield Glade. So we're touring them the entire community. We show them the lakes, the golf courses, the banks, the homes, the new homes, the big expensive homes, the new homes that aren't big and expensive, the existing neighborhoods, the golf courses, the marinas, we show them the whole thing. And at the end of the day, if they're interested, we sell them whatever they want, right? We don't steer them, we sell them whatever they want. So what do they want? Most of them want to buy an existing home. That's the orange, okay? So the bulk of my business is helping you all, if you own a home, sell your house when you decide to move. All right? So that's what my company does 75% of the time, okay? This blue square here is new houses that I haven't built, all right? But we get people in the car and we drive them everywhere and they say, I really like that house. And we say, okay, great. We'll call the builder and we'll sell you that builder's house, right? No other builder sells my houses. Not one builder sells. No other builder would say, hey, Tom, I got a guy, I think he's right for your house. It's never happened to us. And then over here, these are my houses that people buy in the green. So we go through this whole business every year of touring 500 people. We've toured 3,000 people in the last 5 years. And the results are largely, and I think the reason I wanted to show you this is that this orange, there's no growth in the community in this orange. This is just people trading each other's houses, right? So this is somebody deciding they're leaving, somebody deciding they're coming. So we haven't added anything in this orange, okay? The only add is in here, this blue and this green. These are the new people that come through. And that's about, in our business, that's, we had 700 resales and 100, and this is in 4 years. We had 700 resales and 200 new houses, okay? So this community can only grow so fast. And this is just a chart to show you that most people that come here want to buy an existing house. Okay, so I'm back to questions. Over there. Who feels like they've had their hand up forever? That
This guy.
Okay, whoever talk then. If I'm sorry, I just don't. It's hard to see.
Thank you. I will try to keep the questions as brief as I can. First off, on your fact sheet, you state that a lot merged with an A lot will have no cost change to them. So if a lot's merged with an A lot, there's no condition where they'll be charged for road, even if there's a road in front of that C lot.
I'm looking at, yes, that's an A lot, yes.
Okay. I tried to merge a C lot with my A lot that was refused 2 years ago. My question now is, are you going to approve it now?
I don't approve that.
I know you don't, but I'd like to hear from the board that they now will approve my C lot.
Okay.
C lot. Because I'd rather pay the fee now than wait for 10 years and then have to pay $25,000 for the road in front of it.
I didn't say the road was going to cost you $25,000. So
Actually, if you use your example up there, and I know you were throwing numbers out, but you threw out $1 million on that. That would,
Well,
that would be
yeah,
$25,000.
That's probably low. So what would that be then?
That would be-
That would be 600 grand, that road.
That'd be
if
close
it
to
was
$25,000 per lot.
No, that.
Now, you were talking about the
okay.
road, the water, and the
All right,
sewer.
all right. I'm agreeing with you if you want to do that. If that road was $10,000 a lot, you know, that would be 15, 20, 40, 50, $500,000.
The fact is, you don't really know what it's going to be.
We have an idea.
I will get back with the board because I do want to merge those two lots. Beechwood Drive was recently repaved, re-chip and sealed, I believe. Do you know who paid for that?
I'm sorry, which road?
Beechwood Drive. The last
The
big,
county.
I'm sorry, who?
I don't know. You were saying the county. I don't know.
The county paid for it?
Yeah.
My next-
We'll have to get back to you. We don't.
Well,
know
my
the
next
answer.
question is, were you involved in picking that road? And apparently you were not.
No,
How are those roads chosen?
I have no idea.
So, okay, so I want to respond to you. I'm a county commissioner and represent the 9th District, Colleen Mall. If it's a county road and it's chip and seal, the county paid for that road. The highway superintendent paid for that road, if it's a county road. And I believe Mr. Anderson talked about how those roads are accepted, and it is accepted by the county. So not all roads in Fairfield are county roads. Does that answer your question? If it's a county
Well,
road.
It's one of the questions. They paid for it, I guess, but how was it chosen? And why was not the entire Beechwood Drive redone?
And that's a good question. The county takes the list of roads from Fairfield and goes by priority. So your department here would make that priority. And why wasn't the whole road done? I'd have to see the road because sometimes the county road only goes so far. We've had instances where that has occurred. And sometimes they run out of chip and seal because we've had a problem with that. So we can deal with your individual road later, actually, and provide more detail.
Colleen, what about repairs on county roads? The county does that as well?
If it's a county road, on county roads, the county does, in Fairfield Glade, the chip and seal.
And repairing of chip and seal when there's a big gouge or hole.
And that's the highway superintendent's responsibility, who is an elected official, by the way.
You also stated, getting back to this, that no one other than the declarant has constructed roads or infrastructure in here. I know for a fact, firsthand, of a private individual that put in chip and seal, and I know secondhand of other people that have paid to have chip and seal put in front of their homes.
Yeah, I can say that I was not aware of that. I'm telling you the truth.
Okay. That's not true.
Well, for me, I'm saying I'm not aware of it. I am aware of a situation and have talked with the board about one for sure, but I wasn't made aware of it before it happened.
Yeah. Regardless, I think the only other thing that I would like to bring up is the fact, and this gentleman behind me here did kind of dwell on it, and I don't want to dwell on it either. But I have spoken to builders, and the few I've talked to, 100% feel like you're getting a fantastic deal that we should not be giving you. That's their opinion.
All
I
right,
agree
well,
with them,
listen,
but that's their opinion.
I want to stop you before you make a comment like that. You're not giving me anything, all right? So just, everyone gets so confused over this. I paid to be the declarant. I paid for it, right? It wasn't free, okay? I got what I got. See now we've talked to 10 builders who are for the amendment because they want to keep building here, and they see this as their path to the future, and they don't want to see the roads and the sewer shut down.
I'm here to listen.
Okay. Well, we've got 10 of them, right, that we've talked to, and we list 6 builders' houses in our company. We have 6 builders that only list their homes with us. Why? Because we sell them for them. So I think what you're doing to me that's not fair is that you're just assuming that all I care about is me. And that's the problem that I have, okay? And I'm sorry, maybe I said the same thing to the other gentleman. I'm at that happier ever after part of my life. I'm not looking to fight with people. I thought we're getting vibes from people who were interested in the community that now they don't want to move here because they see this fighting going on, and they're like, I don't want to live anywhere where people are fighting, you know? So why don't you not judge me, you know? Because that's what you're doing. You're judging me, you know, and it's just not fair. Well, okay, I'm back to questions. Okay.
Tom, you left a little bit out of the history.
I'm sorry. If someone would help me figure out who's next, I'm not trying to. Okay.
Yeah, Tom, you left a little bit out of the history. About 40 years ago, there was an organization called Fairfield Glade, Inc. that was the declarant and was selling property and promising water and sewer and roads in 5 years. My wife and I came on a visit, were shown around, looked at a lot of properties, ended up buying what was supposed to be the Keystone Dorchester lot on number 13 hole at Dorchester, looking down over the green and the creek and the trail riders. And we were supposed to accept and believe everything that they said. And as you well know, in 1996, we found out they weren't what they said they were. And they offered us, by law, 2 properties. One was vertical, the other was horizontal, and said, that's it, you take it or leave it. So I've been waiting for over 40 years for the development and haven't seen it.
Okay.
And part of my concern is part of their selling is that all of those or services, I guess you'd call it more than amenities, were included in the price I paid.
Yeah.
And now I'm potentially looking at another $10,000 if you get around to that area.
Right.
And water and sewer were declining. So I'm sorry.
Were you part of the class action group?
Yes.
Okay. So that got litigated and settled, right?
Well, settled for some, not for others. But yes.
But I'm sorry that happened to you, and I know there was a group of people that banded together that went after one of the declarants. It wasn't me.
Right.
That the court settled it. There was some settlement opportunities for people, and it's been litigated. I know that. Yeah.
Well, I don't.
So I'm just trying to be the guy at the end that tries to unlock, you know, everybody's value, you know. And I think there's some confusion that I want to build everybody's house. I don't. Okay, so I'm trying to live within the declarant document that I bought. But that's not a home building document. It's just a declarant document.
You sort of gave the impression that most of those lots that you were talking about were people that didn't care, but there's a lot of us that still do.
Look, I hope so, and that's my hope, right? Okay. So that's why I hope you appreciated the fact that people have been saying, oh, there's no plan. Oh, my plan is to let you know first, okay, that something's happening. So you're in control of your future at your lot, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'd like to say a couple of things, okay? First of all, the Andersons and his people are responsible for this wonderful pavilion that we have, and I want to thank him for doing that.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry that you're crazy about music. You just had to have it, all right? And I appreciate it, and dealing with your wife. Okay. The other thing is what I'd like to know, all right, because I'm not hearing it, being a little hard of hearing is something, wait a minute, I'm used to microphones, I'm just a little taller. Anyway, I didn't hear all of the opinions. It seems like there's enough opinions in here, there's almost as many as there are earlobes. What I'd like to know is your explanation of the difference between an A lot and a C lot financially.
Oh, okay. Well, I can take a
Please.
stab at it, and I'm going to caveat the answer. Okay, so I can tell you in the open market for sale, if you have a willing seller and a willing buyer, okay, an A lot is the club sells them for $5,000, which is a hell of a deal.
But the owners of each one, what are they looking at?
Well, individual owners have individual. Mark, what would you say the average A lot sells for in an average?
I don't care.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You weren't asking me about. You weren't asking me about.
I'm not asking how much.
Oh.
Is what determines an A lot, since you have already said that the people with A
they
lot.
have road, water, and sewer.
Okay, and if they don't have a road, they're definitely not an A lot.
Right.
They're a C
right,
lot.
Right.
Okay, and I'm just wondering how many of these people actually have C lots. C as in Charles.
How many C lot people are there
Here.
in the room or in this area?
No, in the room.
Oh, in the room. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
I think, look, and then I think some C lot owners wouldn't sell you their lot for love or money because they use it as part of their A lot, right? And it's part of their lifestyle.
Are they
So
feel-
if I say that C lots have a $500 value, they're going to jump up and down and say that's crazy.
Right, right,
But
that's-
a lot of C lots trade because people want to become members of the golf club,
Right.
and they want to be able to have access to our amenities, and that's you can find them in that price range that someone will sell.
Are we thinking that this is a question? It's not an insult or any innuendo. Are these C lot owners, of which I'm not one? Are they thinking that they're going to be forced to sell them?
No, they're absolutely not going to be forced to sell them.
They just have to come up with some money to do what you're.
But if they were going to sell them, they'd be worth a lot more money than they are now. But they don't have to sell them.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
All right.
They can build on them. They can keep them.
I'm under the impression something about $1,000 was being offered to them. Do they have to take it?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank
No,
you.
absolutely not. And so let's go back to the if this based on the current pace of the community, based on the growth that we have, if this is 50 or 60 years, right? There's a chance that if you're a C lot owner somewhere, then you're my age, I'm 60 or older, there's a pretty good chance your road won't get built. So, it's not, I think there's confusion that everybody thinks if they have they live on the fringe area where the A's end and the C's start, that, there's immediately going to be development and I don't think that. I think that's a little unfounded. I know you're a C lot owner, so why don't I take your question? When the road's in.
Can't
when
hear
it's
you.
in.
Go to the mic.
I think the question was, when do the C lot owners have to pay? I think the answer is not until everything's done and the road's been accepted by
So
the
it could be in 60 years.
It could be.
Oh, okay. So it's not like we have to pay within the first 3 years or so.
Okay, so now you're I don't want you, you're confusing me, so I just,
Okay.
if you got a road, if a road actually ran in front of your lot,
Yes.
you would get a bill when the road got put in. Okay? If
Okay.
a road doesn't go by your lot for 40 years, you don't pay anything.
Okay.
Okay?
But in the meantime, of course, inflation is going to be more than, let's say we just set a flat $10,000 now, conceivably it could be a lot more then as well.
I know, like in the 2 years between building a couple of roads here, PVC pipe tripled in cost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't control that,
Right,
So,
true.
yeah, right.
Okay, so when the road goes through, and the road might not come through for 40,
Yeah.
50 years.
Yeah, it very well, I would say the odds are it won't, because we're talking about 50 a year or in that
Okay,
range.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Sorry, I confused myself maybe. Okay?
I have two questions. One is a clarification. I went to the board presentation and they said that there were about 200 lots left to be developed on the north side, and that we were building about 100 a year, so we had 2 years stock. And that's why it was necessary for us to open up the south side for
Okay.
development. You said 50 houses a year. They said 100. Does that mean you're building 50 and somebody else is building 50?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not. it's hard to be exact with supply and demand calculations. It really is. What I'm saying is, I'm just making a guess, okay? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball into the real estate world. What I'm saying is, this road will be attractive to some people, right? But there's going to be other areas up here where A-lot people have defaulted along the way, and there's a new A-lot that comes in, or you know, there's some B-lots where there's already a road and water, and there's a way to just extend the sewer and open up a couple of lots here and there. So it's a range. It's just a range of numbers. It's not meant to be an exact thing. And if it's getting you stuck.
So two different guesses as to how many houses are going to be built a year.
No, I think it's the same guess. I think, okay, just being honest, I think in a big heavy year, we build 130, and an average year, we build 100, and this year, we're not building hardly much, okay? So that's the total new ones. That number is the number. Well, how many of them wind up on a street like this? How many of them wind up, you know, in Fairfield North? How many of them wind up in A-lots that get reclaimed in the middle of the Druid area? It's anybody's guess, but the 100 number is the right number. It's not, there's no guarantee it's all going to be here.
And the other point that they made at the board meeting was that they had given you the right to purchase all of their lots that they own because they've gotten back in the south, and that you had the same agreement with the county. And so that would be about 2,700 lots.
Yeah, I do not have the same agreement with the county.
I'm sorry?
I do not have the same agreement with the county.
Oh, okay. You have it with the board.
I have the agreement with the club, yes.
So if another builder wants to build in there,
right,
they would have to work with you and buy one of your lots.
No. Okay, so let's look at the map again, if that's confusing you. See all these red lots?
Yes.
Any builder can work with any of these people.
Those are people who own their lots. But if it's one of the lots that the county has given you purchase price on, one of those lots.
Not the county.
Right, then when you put the road through that lot, through that area, and you own the lots along the road, then a builder wants to build, he would buy the lot from you.
Yes.
And I assume you would price it at current market value, which would include what you had paid for the road, for water and electric, and et cetera.
I've done this in my life in other places before, and I think the best way this works, a road like this works, is you get 4 or 5 like-minded builders that all like each other, and you split the lots. You know, the lots you control, you split them up, and, and then everybody develops together. That's the view I have of how it goes. I know that's counter to a lot of people think I'm going to run the business, but that's how I've seen it work the best.
I think that's a big concern, is that other builders would not have the ability, because you had all the lots and you were doing all the building,
No,
so
and we've
100% your houses.
No, that's not true. And we've talked to 10 builders, I know, that we've gone through the whole business plan with. And again, we represent 6 builders in the market that build a fair number of homes that use our sales and marketing company.
So you don't see yourself as being the sole builder?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, I have one question here. I'm at the speaker. I've lived here 25 years. I'm very happy in my home. Everything is going good. What you want to do, what's it going to cost me?
Nothing, I guess.
Thank you. That's all I want to know.
You're welcome. And that's why I thought this wasn't going to be such an issue when we came up with the idea. It's taken on a life of its own, and I'm sorry for that. Okay, I'm just going to go. Are we around as people who've already asked questions asking? Is there anybody that hasn't asked a question?
The precursor to this change was the deal the board made with you, allowing you control of all the club-owned C lots for $5,000 a year for the next 20 years. The deal only guarantees the club will receive $100,000 over the next 20 years for all these lots. My question is, what protections have you left the board and the members if you or a subsequent declarant decides to just sit on these club assets and never develop them?
So I would have put in the road, I would have bought the lots, and I would sit on them? I'm not doing that.
You're not putting in the
business model.
rules.
I'm not going to run that.
No, sir.
Okay.
Right now, you have control of all the C lots.
Right. Not all of them by any chance.
No,
I
no,
don't
but
even
by-
control
by
a
the
third
one-
of the
all right,
C
sorry.
lots. So that's,
By the
this
ones
is getting
the
out of
club
hand for me.
owns.
I do not control all the C lots.
The ones the club owns.
Okay, fair enough, which is, 10% of them, let's say.
Okay.
Okay.
You're not putting in the roads, but you just sit on it, or you or a future declarant decide not to do anything with these lots.
Right.
You can just sit on them
Right.
and not do anything. What protections does the board or the club have? If you just, for the next 20 years, just decide not to do anything with it?
I'll take that one. In the agreement, we have exit clauses and we have penalty clauses if no development happens. So if it doesn't happen, the agreement goes away. What do you mean? Release it? What? We have a practice as a board, and we've had it for a long time, not to be sharing all of our agreements. If you go, hold on. If you go back to the December meeting, the board meeting, and the March 2025 board meeting, those agreements, every one of the terms, the major terms, are all in those presentations. They're right there. We go through how much we're getting from Tom. We talk about how many lots there are. We talk about how the process works. We talk about all the major terms of that agreement.
I'm sorry, sir. You did not mention that there was penalties in that agreement.
What?
There was nothing mentioned about penalties if
I'm
he
telling you
doesn't do
now,
it.
there are.
Now you're telling me, but you didn't say that in December, sir. And I asked to see the agreement, and they said, no, you can't.
That's correct.
That's your. And I asked to see the agreement between you and the county, and you said no.
Yes.
But I went down to the county, and within a day, they handed me the whole agreement.
And?
They're transparent.
Okay.
So, per what the change is saying, the board is granting you authority to charge members whatever you choose. Going forward, the board will have no mechanism to protect the members of this agreement. And that, Tom, you got future declarants that coming in. Not just you, it's future. There's no protection for them.
I want to, before we get to that question, I want to clear up one thing, because this is an important part that Tom really can't speak to. In this map, and even on the map that he has over there, which is just a hypothetical, you'll see colors, and you'll see yellow little dots all over the place. Those are Fairfield Glade Community Club owned lots. Now, why are we concerned about that? Okay, number one, for every one of those little yellow specks you see there, we derive no revenue from. Not 1 cent. If you're a private owner and it's a C lot, you're paying us basically around $52.62 a month. Okay? We get nothing from them. Also, the ones that we own, we pay taxes on. Now, that's not a lot of money, but it's the more and more lots that we get, the more and more we have to pay. Well, why do we do that? The reason why is once those lots get into the county's hands, it's almost impossible for a long period of time, 10 years as a matter of fact, to get a clean deed on that lot. So if you take the county lots, or we let those go to the county, we're going to be sitting with a whole bunch of stuff that nobody can use. Now, what does that equate to? There's roughly, give or take, if you do all the adds and subtractions and everything, there's right around 8,000 lots down in this area. Let's take just an example and say 2,000 of those lots you can't build on for whatever reason, too much rock or whatever. Let's take also about roughly 1,200 lots away that Wyndham owns. So we do get revenue from them. So we actually generate the revenue, or they generate the revenue for us. But also the county owns about 900 lots. And those 900 lots, we don't get any revenue from. Now, as part of Cumberland County, we do get an opportunity to pay taxes for that because because our tax base has got to cover all this property that's not generating anything. So if you do the math on all of that, what you're talking about is you get down to a number somewhere around 3,500 lots that maybe are ones that we're going to start increasing things on. And what you're going to see is that really makes a difference in revenue of roughly about $135,000 a month. That's real money. And without that generation of those funds, that's money that the people sitting in this room are going to wind up paying for things. So you say, well, I don't care about growth. Then what you're saying is, I don't mind seeing assessments go up. Because someone's going to keep paying for all the things that we do here. And you're saying, I don't care about 8,000 sources of revenue. If you take it to the end of that, you're talking really about another additional at least $1.5 million a year. And again, these are real dollars. So the club does not want to be in the real estate business. That's not why we were formed. As Tom rightfully said, we are formed to operate the club, all the things you see here. We don't want to be in the real estate business, but we needed to get into it for some reasons because of things like the county taking over the lots and that type of thing, which we don't want to have happen because it winds up costing us more money. And then we'll never get revenue from it. So I just wanted to clear that up in terms of why we're looking at this and why we want those lots sold. To be clear on the sale of those lots to Tom, the agreement says $5,000 a year payment to keep the agreement going. It also says for every time we sell a lot, we get $1,000. Okay? So we're in the business of wanting to sell those lots. And right now, today, if you take a look at what we do and how we sell lots, what we do is every individual could come and buy the lots from us up until we went into this agreement. We are getting more back than we're selling. So this gives us the opportunity to sell the lots and get rid of them over a course of time while we get the development done.
Mr. Jones, you're in the real estate business because of what the first declarant did. The first declarant is the one who sold all these lots. He's, for lack of a better word, he's the one who shafted all these C-lot owners. Now with this new amendment that you're asking for, it seems like we're doing it again to the C-lot owners. And I don't think that's fair to the C-lot owners.
That's totally you're up to you. I can't think of another way to unlock value for them. If you've got an answer of how you are going to unlock the value for the C-lot owners, I would love to hear it.
Tom?
I don't think you'd have an
Yeah,
answer.
hi. My name is Michael Allen. I want to tell you that we love living here. We
Thank
moved
you.
here 5 years ago. And I don't have an issue with whatever you're talking about with the 8,000 lots, because I understand the need for revenue. And let me tell you what my issue is. We moved from Florida. We moved from a development that our homeowners dues were over $400 a month.
Right.
Started out at 1,000 homes, went to 1,200 homes, went to 1,700 homes, went to 2,200 homes with no increase in amenities. So you add 8,000 lots, you won't be able to use the community center. You won't be able to attend any events. You will never get a tee time on the golf course. So what I'm asking is, along with this plan, what's the board's plan to
I know.
increase
Well,
the number of amenities?
that's a great question.
To increase the
Yeah.
the number of amenities to go with this increase in
We
in
announced
numbers.
today at the board meeting, and we talked about it yesterday at the workshop, that we're letting an RFP for a master plan. That master plan is going to address and tell us, and we have to take a look at it if the amendment passes and if it doesn't pass. But let's assume it passes. What that's going to do, it's going to talk about all the amenities, even things like emergency services, fire department, all of those things that make up Fairfield Glade. about what our needs are going to look like for all of that going into the future as we develop this area.
Well, one of the biggest advantages of this community for us moving here was the ability to pay a la carte for the things that we wanted to use,
And we're not
instead of
changing
paying
that.
what now in Florida is over $500 a month for amenities that no one in the community can actually use.
Well, let's be clear, because this is another confusion point. If you have an A lot right now, all right, so I'm taking the highest tier lot that we have.
Well, I live on one, so
Okay,
I'm
good.
assuming it's
That's a good thing. Your amenity and POA fees are really $81. The rest of that goes to sewer, wastewater, trash, that type of thing. Now, those are typical services that if you lived in your city, you pay for separately.
Sure, and I don't have a problem with that.
But $81, I defy you to go around anywhere in this area, because we looked at it last year. We looked at Florida, we looked at Georgia, we looked at North Carolina, we looked at Tennessee, we looked at South Carolina. And the closest one I could find, there was one down just a little south of Chattanooga in Georgia. Their amenity fee, their POA fee, was about $150. Now, I'm not saying we're going to that, okay? We don't want to go to that. But I'll sure tell you, if you give up all that revenue, we're going to get closer to that.
Well, if you give up the revenue, it's because you're not selling the lots. And if you're not selling the lots, then you're probably not putting a tremendous amount of additional pressure on the amenities.
Well,
I'm only asking, is the board considering a plan that as you add 8,000 lots and bring all those new people in, that you are going to expand the amenities
Yes, that's
in
what the
accordance with that growth at the same level of homeowners' dues or close that we have
That's what
now?
the master plan is going to tell us. And we'll do it over a period of years as we figure out what the development rate is going to be down there. We're not going to go out and build 5 new golf courses, if that's what you mean.
Well,
No, we won't do that.
well-
But over time, we will.
But you answered my question, so thank you.
Yeah, okay?
Alice.
Greg, I have a question for you.
I just want to clarify one thing real quick, because there's been an allusion to some things regarding the development of C lots. Just for historical purposes, and it really clarifies a lot of where things are. In 2002, there were C lot owners that banned, and additional owner, B lots, but mainly they were all C lots, that filed a class action lawsuit and prevailed. And the settlement at that time by the court, by the judge, was that that's when the community club was given, no one, as Tom alluded to earlier, the declarant at that time, they had been accused of wrongful and deceptive real estate sales practices. There was no admission of guilt or anything that came to a final judgment on that. There was a settlement. And as a result of that settlement, the declarant agreed to pay all C lot owners 60% of their original purchase price. And that came to over $4 million. And they were paid. And then the community club had been foreclosing on those lots because those people were frustrated and they quit paying their assessments. And so they were being foreclosed upon. So the community club was required to pay back those dues, those fees, and that came to a little over $2 million. And so at that time, they had to figure out, okay, what's the path forward? At that point, there was no more obligation on the part of any declarant going forward to put infrastructure in roads to those property owners. That opportunity, that was cleared and wiped off the table. They could take their money, leave, and never look back, sell it, hold on to it, whatever they wanted to do. But anyone from that point forward had no claim that the developer or declarant has to build a road for me. So there's no shifting of that duty that sometimes is perceived by some that, oh, this is now being moved through this agreement onto the property owners. That's not true. And that's why nothing's happened down there. Because the declarant, as he's explained, and we've been trying to make clear, it's the risk of putting that in and trying to get your money back. So the community club at that time, because no one wanted sewer, Declarant didn't want it, whatever, so the judge said, the community club, you get sewer and you have the right to collect on the payment of your infrastructure because you as members could not afford to take on that duty and to build that infrastructure going forward and have that kind of risk, or you would put yourself in jeopardy of further bankruptcies. So that's how that original agreement for the investment and getting the payback on sewer was given to the community club. And so now you're at that point where you're looking in that same area and those properties are not owned by the declarant. And so in order to move forward, that same model needs to be created for the declarant to go into these areas and allow this to happen, just like we have with sewer. So I just wanted to clarify that because there's been some misperception at times that somehow this has been a shift onto property owners that didn't exist before, and that is not the case. Okay?
Thank you. And I also can add, I think the C-lot owners at the time were also had a free swap into A-lots in addition to the payment. They could swap out. So if they wanted to live here and they had a property that didn't have infrastructure, the old declarant had to make lots available that they owned and swap people out of them so they could develop. So as whole as they could be made, they were made. And the old declarant wasn't the one that created the problem either. He was just the one that caught it at the wrong time. But all right, are there any more questions?
I got a question. I want to see if we can get some clarification. For some of the people here that are on next door, one of the posters talked about non-judicial foreclosure. And under non-judicial foreclosure, if you didn't pay, if the property owner didn't pay the assessment, you can, the title could automatically transfer within as little time as 4 months, and you did not have to go to court. I want to check with Tom because when I did some research on it, non-judicial foreclosure would not apply for the roads, the roads, the water, the electrical. And can we get some clarification on that?
I wish I was a lawyer. Do you know if the club practice is or isn't involved in non-judicial foreclosure? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll tell you. Thank you. I'll look into it. I've been wondering about that aspect of this, but I haven't studied it. So I'll take that as something to take a look at.
Under your agreement with the community club, C-lots, have you? Does that prevent a member or anyone from the outside coming in and buying a C-lot right now?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hi. What's a B lot? I know. It's like, okay, here's a B lot. It's a paved road with water. Is that right? But no sewer. Okay. So there are roads that the declarant built years ago and ran water, but they never got developed. And the only reason, well, there was no reason to develop them because there was too much supply. And now those roads are interesting because all you have to do is add the sewer to them and they make A lots. And A lots pay more money. So anytime that you can change a lot from a B to an A, it's good for the club. So that's what it is.
Hello?
Well, I'm sorry, and I might have answered that poorly because I get confused on the B lot thing. They're chip and seal roads. I'm sorry, here's the sewer guy. Go ahead. Okay, I'm confused, so I don't. So everybody got that? So it's all. Yes, my team is saying yes to that. Yeah.
I'd like a clarification.
Okay.
I'll preface this by saying I'm a retired government accountant.
Okay.
The assessments or fees you're associating with these roads, are they based on lot size or foot frontage?
I think we're going on we haven't,
Because
Yeah,
if you're on a
so-
cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
your pie-shaped lots in the back have a smaller frontage
Yeah.
feet. So if you
Okay,
go by
no,
frontage feet.
in my mind, we would get the total number, divide by the number of lots.
Lots.
Everybody would pay the same amount.
Including on,
Including on a cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sacs.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So
thank
if
you.
there's 15, yeah, we just try to keep it simple. Okay, we're winding down. Yes, sir. Okay, I'll tell you what the question is. He's asking me if I can explain Wyndham's position on this. Okay, so I can do that. So Wyndham used to be a company called Cendant, and Cendant was the one that bought the declarant rights in 2001, and they're the ones, as soon as they bought, this class action came up because Cendant had money, and the C lot owners were like finally, because they had been dealing with a lot of bankruptcy. So they banded together and they went after Cendant. Cendant paid them out, swapped the lots, the settlement that was just discussed. They also got tagged with all of the C lots that they owned. They got another bad guy in their settlement for them was all of the C lots that they owned. They had to pay dues on. And typically a declarant doesn't pay dues on lots until they start developing them. That's the deal in the document. But the judge, in addition to everything else, so Wyndham so now Wyndham's not the declarant anymore either. But even when they were paying, they pay $800,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. So Wyndham pays $800,000 a year in dues on those C lots, and they have no value to them. Okay, so they would very much like to see development, and it's my understanding that a lot of the community would very much like to see their influence in votes because they have a lot of lots. Would like to see because they get a vote for every lot. So this would be another. This would also sort of change the balance on that issue. This amendment would. Wyndham supports the amendment. Yes, yes. I have an agreement with. To be fair, I have an agreement with Wyndham similar to the agreement with the club to try and move their products.
A question, recognizing that now the vote is going to coincide with the new board member, it's my understanding that a board member can take that seat on a simple majority. However, this CNR vote needs 75% of the voting membership. Will that still be the case? More question for.
I think that's the case. I don't know about the board seat.
Correct. Okay. So your auditors will make sure that 75% of the voting people on this. Correct. Great. Thank you.
Okay. I'm up next, I think.
Okay, sure.
And hopefully I'm last.
Okay.
From the beginning on this presentation, not yours today, but from the ones I've been to, that Greg, you've led, the point that's being made is, oh, you A-lot people, don't worry about it. You're not going to have to pay anything because we're going to go down and get these C lots, and they're going to generate all this income to help pay for what we need to do in the future. I think that's
part of it.
That's basically the summary, I think.
No, that's not. The other part you're missing is the C lot owners will finally have some value to their land.
Well, fine, I understand that. We're being nice to the C lot people, and that's great.
Okay.
My point is that I tried to make before, and I still have it today. What I just heard Greg say is that, oh, we just established a master plan of something to figure out, I think, what we're going to be doing in the future.
No, he said they have a strategic planning group. The board has an arm that has a committee, and they have
Correct.
launched an RFP, I believe, to try
Okay.
and retain a third-party group that works with
Fine.
Associations to try and create and
When
address
I-
this issue on the
okay.
amenities. Which
So
is
when I was at the previous meeting, I put this to Greg. So what is the plan? To me, if you wanted to have us understand what's going forth and why we have to have the money from these seed lots, you ought to have a strategic plan that says, this year we're going to do this,
and here's how much it's going to cost. And go out 4 or 5 years, yeah, your estimates may not be great because we don't know what's happening with inflation, et cetera. I went and looked at what I was told to look at for the strategic plan. There's no numbers. I mean, you get a lot better buy-in on this thing, and if you're now going to do another plan, put some numbers against this. So then we can look at and say, well, how many lots do you have to build down there to really generate the income you need to have to pay for those amenities? Because clearly, I don't believe we're going to get by with not having to up our fees if you don't sell those lots. We know we have amenities. That's the point. Thank you. That's my summary. All of that should be done first before you ask us to pass the CNRs. That's my point.
Well, I guess I would be mindful of a couple things, and I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I think that as a community, you should try and keep the wherever that pie chart was, you should try and keep that new growth section coming, okay? I think it's important to you, with or without a strategic plan, or a plan you like, or a bunch of math around exactly how many lots you're gonna be in favor of. And I also think that if we don't do this, right? So my rights don't change, right? So I'm still the declarant. I have all this land up here. I have land in the core. I have things I can do. But I'm not able to help the community at the level that I'm offering to help the community, right? So I would expect you'll see builders leave because these lots are getting pretty picked over in here, okay? And there's going to be a frustration that, all the lots that are left are sloped, or this, or that, the other, expensive to build, the kind of house they want to do, they can't do. So I would think we would probably see a decline in the group, and I think you're going to put, without growth, I think you'll put your home values at risk of a decline. And I say that because, and back to my pie chart, I mean, this is my company, this isn't the whole market, but we do that for existing homeowners. But it's really, why we do this? Because these are more expensive, So people come into the market and they have an opportunity to buy a brand new house, and it costs, X a foot, or they can buy an existing home, costs Y a foot. So that's a good comparison for people. And when the costs go up, like they have for builders in the last 5 years, well, then all of a sudden the costs of existing homes go up too. And you get the benefit of the appreciation of the growth. So I would just be mindful of that issue. It's a real issue if you don't want to grow. That's what's, I think that will be. Will that play out in 12 months? No. Play out 5 years probably, I would think. Yes. Okay. Oh boy. Well, you better read it out loud if it's a quote from me.
Okay. And this is off of, I think it was LinkedIn. Off of LinkedIn. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I was like, okay, who are you? So anyway, here it is. I am the leading residential builder and developer of a master plan community in Fairfield, Glade, Tennessee. It just went out on me. Commercial development is the next on my agenda for the community. That's your quote.
Yeah, you want me to talk about it? I did. I thought I did. Okay, I'll be happy to give you my update on commercial development. I told you I was trying to be. I own all the land around the Grove, right? So I still can't find it. There it is. So there's. I still can't find Mirror Lake. Why come I can't find it? It's gotta be. Anyway, it's gotta be in here somewhere. You think it would be blue, but I guess it's not. I have been trying to get a restaurant built. I'm trying to get a bar built. I've been thinking about trying to get some medical office going in there. That I think for the community, some medical office space would be great over there. I thought when we put the Grove in and we have 1,000 people there a couple nights a week, I would have thought I would have been able to attract a restaurant operator or a bar operator at the top of the hill. I've hired brokers, really high-end retail brokers in major markets here that serve the state of Tennessee to try and attract people. I've talked to the people downtown who run restaurants, who you all support and would probably go out of business if you didn't dive down there, to come out to Fairfield Glade. And so far, I haven't had any luck. And I'm not going to, I will build the buildings, and I will do everything I can to encourage somebody to come up here. But I haven't found operators yet that want to be in the commercial space. Okay.
Question?
Okay.
I understand that you are responsible for many of the good things that are happening here in Fairfield Glade.
Well, thank you.
Are you also responsible for the tiny homes that are being built?
Ha! Okay, I'd love to answer that one. Thank you. No, I would say no, but I'll tell you what. So I get one question more than any other question from people, which is, why don't you build townhomes, right? I get this, or condos. I get this question all the time, and people have a really hard time understanding that on a per square foot basis, townhomes and condos are more expensive than single family houses. So they think in their head that they live in a big house, maybe they're widowed or something's occurred, they want to downsize, they would like to stay in the community, they don't need a big home, they want to live somewhere that's nice, and they need a first floor master. And so, I took that to heart to try and come up with some sort of an elegant strategy with a bungalow that we built on Westchester as an opportunity to try and get something that would work for people. I did do that, and I spent a lot of time and energy on it. And we haven't had anybody interested in it. But there are a lot of builders that I don't control that build very small homes here at this point. Okay, I don't know that I've changed the footage on anything. I know I haven't. I don't change the footage, just so you don't be mad at me. I didn't do that. Okay, but I have to live with the same bylaws and again, this isn't a declarant issue, this is a home builder issue, but I have to live with the same bylaws that every other home builder does. I have to submit to the ACC, I have to go through the process, I have to accept it. So I'm no different when it comes to building houses than any of the other home builders in the market. But I did take a stab at a small house, and I thought people would have an interest in it. If I do townhouses, I would try and do them around Mirror Lake or maybe where the ball field is or something like that. But people think they're going to downsize and they're going to save money. And the fact is that like sometimes the smaller houses, you still have to put the same amount of stuff in them, plus build big party walls, to keep the noise down, and there's more cost to it. So it hasn't been that easy. Yes, sir. There are a lot of rumors in the community.
No, I just said there's a lot of rumors in the community, and we all know that the beloved stables went away. And I just wanted to ask him if he is going to be developing that into homes.
No. Is that one for me? I'm not. I'm sure that'll be part of a strategic planning exercise, though, because there's probably an opportunity there to think about that land. All right, are we done?
Yeah, one more thing. We all know that the Glade has common property, common areas. Talk to us about the green space. If you look at a street like this and the property that you own, and being from New York myself, I'm used to a very exposed and open areas. How much green space are you going to contribute to in the development? Are you going to, in other words, add to it?
Well, just,
And is the
just so you know,
covenant- does the covenant-
I don't want you to be confused. I don't control, I control little pieces of this. I don't control the whole thing.
But let's just take that for an example.
Yeah.
You could take that street and make it into a green space. In other words, does a covenant require you to have
Right.
so much green space?
Yeah, well, it is right, yeah, we were just saying, it is a green space right now. So you should
Right.
enjoy it, right, because it's green,
Right.
right? So you should go for a walk when you get home and ride your bike through it. But, and that, most of that's gonna change slowly over time if it changes. And if those roads are really expensive to develop, if there's a ton of rock in that area or something like that, then I think those are the areas where we'll probably look at different types of amenities or different uses
To
for
leave
them.
them, to leave them green.
Yeah, to leave them green,
and
yeah.
to
There
do
there
that.
would be no reason to change the look of them if they're not great for development.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You put a restaurant in, you got my vote.
Okay, well, want to run it? I'll tell you what, you want to run it? I'll build it and you can run it, all right? You can see me. It's a deal. Okay.
I just had a short question for him regarding the restaurant. I had a tourist come up to me. I play pickleball. She joined our team, and she said, "We got lots of houses," but she said, "How come you don't get a darn restaurant that we have good food and affordable?"
I know. Well, I've been trying, so and I'll continue to try. All right, well, thank you for your attention. I hope I answered your questions. If there's any confusion, please let me know, okay?